All right. Hi, everyone. It's Ashley Maltz, integrative medicine physician here. We are here with the Austin Wellness Collaborative for a DreamWorks workshop with, somebody just joined. Hello there. With Alisa Carr, LCSW, who's going to tell us all about herself, her practice, the workshop, and we'll go from there. And I will ask everyone to mute their mics if you're not talking. Thank you.
Excuse me. So, hello everyone. I'm Alisa Carr, and I'm a clinical social worker, a spiritual director, and a Reiki practitioner, dream worker, oracle card reader, and a lot of modalities that I've kind of tried to pull together for healing. And my practice is in Austin. My office is in South Austin. I also do I had already begun doing a lot of online work over the phone and through video. So I'm grateful for that during this time of stay at home. I guess as I'm a psychotherapist, I've been working with clients for about, I guess, 25 years, something like that. I discovered, when I was in 8th grade, I did a science project on REM sleep. So I've been interested in dreams for a really long time. And finding dreams as a pathway for healing and for self-knowledge it's this place where I've found that psychology and spirituality actually join, and so for a long time I've found it very difficult to separate the psychological journey from the spiritual journey. And I think that is probably what has set me apart as a therapist for quite some time. I guess the way that I've experienced it is that people who are coming because they feel hurt, or there's a problem in their relationship, or they're overcoming some really challenging symptoms, they start on this journey of healing and inevitably find the spirit, whatever that looks like for people. And then on the flip side, in my work with just learning spirituality and reading the mystics, it's like when people are on an intentional spiritual path, the spirit calls us to do some really, really deep healing work. And dream work seems to be where these two paths cross or join, I think is probably better to say. I'm also an internal family systems therapist. So both of these pathways, the Jungian path, which is where the theory behind the dreams, and the internal family systems path are working with parts. So we're acknowledging that there's parts of us, that there's aspects of our personality, that there's what we kind of walk around in the world with, of our understanding of ourselves, and that's like this very tip of an iceberg, and so this massive energy is below the surface, and that's the bulk of who we are, that when we start out on this journey we have no idea of. And dreams are this gift from the unconscious that shows us little pieces or big pieces of this enormous energy underneath the surface. So I'll share a little bit about my journey with those in a little bit. I wanted to talk about this time that we're in, or why like right now is a particularly powerful time to be talking about dreams and to be writing your dreams down and to be working with your dreams, and any level of that. Like we might find ourselves in various levels, like maybe you're just thinking about it, or you think you remember a dream and you find that that was kind of intriguing, or maybe you are in a practice where you're writing them down but not really doing a whole lot much with them after that. Or then there's that deeper practice of letting what you've written down and letting the symbols sort of take you on a path. So okay, so this time that we're in, obviously we know that it's crazy. It's something we've never navigated before. It brings up fears. It brings up, I guess, one of the things that I have been witnessing in my clients and in myself, that being in this situation with the pandemic, with the fear about the coronavirus, and with the isolation that we're experiencing, it's bringing up all of our core issues. So, you know, for me, that for some people, that is issues about feeling unsafe or not protected. I don't have that core issue, so I'm not really in that fear place, but I can easily go to, well, why am I alone? And, you know, trying to feel rejected or unwanted or any, you know, things like that. And then just like whatever our behavior pattern is. So I'm saying all of these things because these are some of the things that the dream is going to bring up and show you, like, where you are, and invite you to be with yourself there, and even explore it in a deeper way. So that's one reason why, like right now, and I personally choose to believe that, like, this is an awakening that's happening. Like, we are getting an opportunity to wake up and to evaluate the way that we live our lives, the priorities that we have, and to know ourselves. And the reason that that is important is because, well, at least to me, on the spiritual path that I choose to be on, the more that I can know myself, the more I can have compassion for others, the more I can be in relationship with others, the more I know my own triggers, the less I can be triggered by other people. So that's why, and so doing dream work or any other kind of inner work practice at this time is powerful. And I strongly encourage and invite everyone who's not doing that to consider what's a small step you could take in that direction. The other reason that it's a powerful time, regardless of your spiritual affiliation, like we are in the Judeo-Christian tradition, we're coming up on Easter, or Holy Week and Easter. And in the Jewish, the celebration is Passover. We have a full moon next week. And I understand that there is some big astrological event going on this Saturday that I am totally intrigued with, this 444 portal. So, like, it's big time, powerful time to be being with ourselves and being with our unconscious. So when I talk about dreams, a lot of people ask me or kind of reflect, oh, you interpret dreams. And I really like to make the distinguish between interpreting dreams and listening to dreams, because what I have learned to say is that when we have a dream, we want to just hold that dream in our hands, like gently, like a butterfly, and let it, flap its wings and sort of reveal itself to us, versus like shaking it out and trying to force something. And so when we say this dream means this, or this symbol means this, or this dream was telling me to do this, it's like we're putting our thumb on it and saying, okay, we're nailing it down and it has nothing left to offer us. But when we know how to work with symbols, and then it just continues to unfold. And I am really finding that to be true in this past, I don't know, 6 months or so. Like dreams that I worked with years and years ago, the symbols of them are kind of coming back to me, and they're holding a lot of energy, and I'm seeing, oh, there was even more to that than what I first thought. So again, that's why I'm saying we want to listen to the dream versus interpret it. And as I was just thinking about what I wanted to share with y'all, it is less about, although there's been a time in my life where I would spend like 4 hours on a dream. So there's a systematic approach to listening to the symbols and working with it. And so it would be one dream, and at the end of that there would be all of this energy that came up, maybe kind of a direction or a sense about what's going on inside of me. But I was feeling like more what I wanted to guide you all in or share with y'all is how it's like the dream gives us these clues to follow, and so we want to open up. It's like a little package, like, and each part of the dream is its own little package, and we want to open it up and see the energy of that, and then we start seeing it play out in life, or maybe in other dreams or conversations, synchronicities that come up. So it'll even today it'll end up being less like, oh, I have this dream and this is what it means, but more like, I have this dream and here's all these little pieces of the dream, and I'm gonna try to explore each one of them, or maybe just a few of them, and see where that takes me. So I did suggest that people bring a dream in your mind. I won't ask us to share like the specific dream, at least not right now. But just kind of have a dream in your mind. And when I work with people on dreams, I always ask them to like tell me the dream from start to finish. So like tell the story of the dream. And it's even kind of powerful when you write your dreams to write it in the present. So instead of saying, I was at this building, you say, I am here, and you write the dream in the present tense. In dreams, so the I was gonna say theology, but the perspective that I'm coming from, the Jungian perspective, it talks about the dream as, so every part of the dream is a part of us. And when I'm using the word symbol, I'll explain that a little bit more, but it's like every part of the dream is a symbol. And so like, the people in your dream, the place that you are, maybe buildings, objects, colors, numbers, dialogue, like, so there can be phrases that people say in the dream, maybe an action, a behavior pattern, an animal, like all of these things are symbols. So you can see when you sit down to like really work a dream and you have a lot of stuff going on in your dream, it can take quite a lot of time. I was going to say something else about, I'll probably circle back, but
Alisa, can I ask, what if it's a
yeah,
very simple dream? Like, is that,
say that again.
what if it's just a really simple like dream and it's like a conversation and you remember the conversation? And
well, so in a dream like that, like, you know, my questions would be, well, do you remember where you were? If you were in a house, do you know what room you were in? Is there anything that you remember about the surroundings? Who is the person you're having a conversation with? What's the emotion that you're experiencing? Maybe like, do you remember what you were wearing? Or were you the age that you are now, or were you a different age? And so like when you start asking those more details about the dream, usually there's more to it. And then if it is a dream where there's a conversation, like what was said, so you write the words down of what was said. Is that helpful?
yeah, thank you.
And I guess let me stop there and just see, is there any other thoughts that are kind of coming up, that any other questions or comments about what I'm saying so far? And if, yeah, you can put your questions in the comments, and Ashley is gonna be looking out for those because I can't do two things at one time. So another thing that was coming to me is, I guess, about this whole synchronicity business. And again, like the whole symbol piece. So actually what I'll do is I have some items that have been symbols in my dream. So I'll show you what I mean. So I have this Mexican cloth that was given to me as a gift by a woman who loves me very much. So this showed up in my dream, and so I worked with it as a symbol. I have this, which is I believe it to be a chalice that I found in my grandfather's cupboard. This particular item wasn't in my dream, but a really intricate wine glass was in my dream that I had worked with that symbol. And so when this showed up, I actually think I found it in a box after I had worked with this dream, and I was like, oh, this is very precious to me. So this is a symbol. Spirals often come in my dreams, so I have this. That's a symbol. What else did I bring in here? Maybe that's it. So another dream I had, there was a sunroom in the dream. So that was a symbol for that dream. In a dream I had, there was an idea of a cognitive behavioral psychologist, which, and so it was a man, but he wasn't in the dream, but somebody was referring to him. So that was a symbol in the dream. One time I dreamed that I was telling my brother that he needed to go to spiritual direction. And in the dream, I wrote this on the wall. And so when I'm writing my dream, what comes out is there was writing on the wall. And that writing on the wall is a symbol, like that's a phrase we have. So it was something that was saying, hey, look here, this is important. So even in the act of writing down your dream, something might like show up in the way that you express it that grabs you and makes you take a second look. So let me talk about this. In our dreams, so me in my dream is representative of my ego self. So myself as I see myself, or as I think that I am, or as I've come to believe about myself. And so especially in dream, well, not especially, but in dreams, when the dream ego, so me in my dream, is particularly afraid, which could be up for a lot of people right now, like being scared in your dreams. And we can like talk ourselves into believing or kind of like confirming that life is a scary place because look, I was having all these dreams and I'm terrified in my dreams. But in general, when we're terrified in our dreams, it's because there's something from our unconscious that's trying to get our attention. Probably it's been trying to get our attention for a really long time, and we haven't been paying attention. And I don't say that critically because we didn't know to, but it's like the unconscious just ups the ante. So, you know, if you didn't get it this time, then it's gonna show you this way, and if you didn't get it that way, then it's gonna show you even more. And so our tendency when we're doing dream work, when we had fear towards something in the dream, is to think, oh, I need to get that out of my life, or you know, need to stay away from that, or that's a warning, something like that. But really, the invitation is to look at it more closely. So whatever it is that is chasing you in your dream, we want to like have an intention of being able to turn around and say, okay, who are you and what do you want? Like, what is it that you want me to know? I always love this story. A client of mine was having a dream where these werewolves were like breaking in, and he was fighting them off. And actually, no, they didn't break in. The one like knocked on the door, and he wouldn't let him in, and so he's like pushing the door in, trying to break in. And when we were talking about it, and he's like, no, you got to stay out, and he's fighting all of these things off. But when we were talking about it, we're like, well, the creature did knock. Like, it knocked first to say, could you let me in? And when you said no, that's when it got hairy. So just keep that in mind, that we want to open up and invite some kind of dialogue with the thing that causes us distress in our dream. Also, like, the reason, you know, to ask all the questions about the details of things is there's going to be things that your ego just totally overlooks. But when you go back to writing down all the details of the dream, there might be something in that list that you sort of blow off, and but it actually holds some energy that you need to, well, I don't want to say need, that is inviting you to look at it. So a little bit more about the symbol and the synchronicity. What I have found, a couple of things. One, it's like sometimes I have a dream and I'm aware of this symbol, and then I start noticing it in other ways in life. And that's sort of like confirmation to me, or it's something that just keeps on opening up. And sometimes there are things that happen in life, and then I suddenly recall, oh, that symbol has been in my dreams for years, and now it's showing itself in the world. So to me, that's just this, well, it's really representative of that spiral way of healing and opening up. So and back to the way of just being gentle with the dream and letting things unfold. That's more of that understanding of our healing process as a spiral, something that it's more feminine energy. We're opening up, versus linear, like I'm starting here and I'm ending there. So just gonna check in again. How's everybody doing? Anything anybody wants to comment on or ask? So yeah, Ashley.
I'm curious about dreams, like premonitions. Like,
okay, yeah, thanks for bringing that up. So that's not my area of expertise, but I understand that like people do have dreams often, and even there's been some dreams I've had where elements of them came to be. So two things I want to say about it. One is, even if a dream, it feels like it is sort of prophetic, it's still important to look at it as something that's speaking to you personally, so that it can be all these varied layers at the same time. Just like this situation that we find ourselves in the world, you know, there's the layer of what's going on physically, there's a layer of what's going on spiritually, and then there's a layer of what's going on in our own homes. So same applies for a dream. And then like those people who do find that they often have these kind of premonition or prophetic dreams, I just feel like it speaks to probably an opening, like an intuitive gift that someone has, that probably we all have the capacity for, but some people tend to be more tuned into. And I guess, by the way, my feeling is that like that type of energy, that type of intuition and being connected and synchronicity, like we're going to see more and more and more of that. And so if you have that gift, all the more reason to get anchored in yourself, because you are going to be needed. That's my prophecy. So okay, along those lines, I was sort of seeing that there's been 2 times in my life where I took an especially like deep dive with dreams, and I realized that both of those times were periods of grief. So periods of transition in my life, and I just like seeing that today is just a kind of a confirmation of what I'm suggesting to all of us, that like this is the time. We are all experiencing probably some degree of loss or grief, even if we have some excitement or hope about what might be coming. And during times of loss and grief, we want to draw on these resources that we have. Which reminds me of another aspect of the symbol. So often, you know, I kind of mentioned when there's aspects of our unconscious that are trying to get our attention. There's a layer of that would be aspects of ourselves that are pretty darn incredible that we don't claim. And so some of these items that I've shown you all, like this, for instance, this scarf here, when I worked with this symbol, this represented this amazing energy within myself that was about, it was about kind of like indigenous roots. It was about being sacred. It was about holding space. It was really amazing. And so some items that might come in your dreams, or people that you look up to, animal energy is just full of energy that for us to have access to and resources to. And the more, so it's all this psychic energy that's just in us. And the more we can claim it and engage with it and see it in the world and see it in ourselves, the more energy we have to live life to the fullest, for creativity, for connection with other people, and probably like at this time for helping other people and loving other people through whatever they may be going through. How are we on time? Okay. I wanted to share, so one of those times was when I kind of already referred to, where I would just like go deep into a dream and write about it for hours. This other time was in 2015, and I decided to take a Jungian dream class at the Seminary of the Southwest here in Austin. I knew of the professor, and so I started this dream class. At the same time, one of my teachers, who is a nun that I met, used to spend a lot of time at a monastery in Pecos, New Mexico. And this nun, Sister Miriam, she was kind of the dream guru of the monastery. And I considered her to be a teacher of mine. And I learned that she was dying. And so same time I start this class, well, I had a dream, and in the dream was like really detailed, but in the dream there was like a little miniature piano. There was my dad was in the dream, and my sister was in the dream, and she had actually like cut off her finger in the dream. And then like we rushed her to the hospital, and then the finger started healing. Okay, so in my class, this one night, there was this discussion going on, and the professor stopped it and like made a comment and said, you know, what you all are talking, it was a little bit of an argument about the patriarchy and feminine energy and stuff like that. And he says, you know, what you're talking about is the patriarchy and the divine and the feminine being oppressed. It's what the myth of the handless maiden is about. And so when he said that, I remembered that I had read that before, and I remembered the dream where my sister cut off her finger, which, by the way, I just got a text from her. I saw, and then in two seconds later, he says, that's what the movie The Piano is about. And so I had the dream, I had the piano, I had the finger. So I go home and find, if you haven't read Women Who Run with the Wolves, that is an awesome, just like a deep dive into archetypal symbols and inner work and the individuation process, the feminine energy rising up. And so I went to that myth in there, which I highly recommend to anybody here. And basically it's telling the story of a woman's journey of individuation. And it starts with this hand being severed. And I ended up writing a paper about that and my own journey, because what I realized was I had all these dreams over the years of a wounded hand, or my hand got cut off and it was growing back, or somebody else's hand was hurt, or there's something rotting in my hand. Like, all of these symbols were coming back. And it was very profound for me. And just explore, like diving into that myth and those writings just brought a whole lot of things together for me. Dreams where, like, I have a baby grand piano, like the piano is getting burned out. Like there was so much symbolism in it. So I just wanted to share that example as how these dream symbols can hold so much energy, and they may like open up more questions initially than they answer, but they take us on a path, and the path that we're led on, I don't know that, the classic, it's not really about the destination, it is about the journey. And so I just feel like the ways that dream symbols invite us in, it just makes our journey so rich and deep. And it's like little signposts or little arrows pointing, okay, now go this way, now go that way. So how are we doing? Any questions?
I love how deeply you go with the dreams. I mean, I would never think to write for 4 hours on one dream. Like, that's just, I'm not a big writer myself, so in journaling it's pretty succinct. I don't know why, but I don't know. I love that.
Well, I'm gonna give you a down and dirty way, quick way to get to the energy of a symbol then. So, because you're probably not likely to do it that way. Actually, that's like a nice segue. So I guess I'll explain these first, and then I'll invite you into a little exercise. Well, I guess first let me ask, with whatever dream you guys have in mind, as you're thinking, as you're listening to what I'm saying, as I'm kind of sharing some of the symbols that I've worked with, are you getting an idea of what the symbols are in your dream? Like, if you were to make a list of the people, the places, the objects, the colors, the conversation, is it kind of clear to you what that list could be? I can't really see most of you, so I'm just gonna assume, unless somebody tells me otherwise, that you are getting that. And if not, I might help you a little bit.
Yes is a good answer for here.
Okay. So there's a few ways there's probably endless ways to get at the energy of a symbol, but a couple that I'm going to talk about. So one, if you're a writer, well, even if you're not a writer, just kind of like listing them in your mind, and then having the thought of, so we make a list of them, and then we decide, okay, I'm really curious about this one. And then you pull that out of the dream. So say, like, I don't even really remember all the details of the dream that this showed up in, but I pulled, my red Mexican scarf out of the dream, and then I started working with it. So if all you do is say, oh, like that object or that person or that place showed up in my dream, I'm just gonna like let the energy of that float around in my mind for a little bit, or I'm gonna just meditate on that for a bit. That would be something. Or there's an exercise where it's very gestaltish, I guess, where you become the object. So when I was working with the dream where this came in, I am the red Mexican scarf. And then I just described myself as that. And I basically told the story of this scarf for me. So, I was a gift from someone who cares deeply for Alisa. I became part of her altar where she creates sacred space. So it's just like the energy of it started to unfold, and then the invitation is to say, oh, that's part of me. Like, yes, there's this red scarf, but that energy is in me. Like this gift that's coming out of me, this sacredness that's coming out of me, this place that holds space for others, that's part of me. So when you put yourself in the energy of the item and pretend like you're it and speak from that place, it digs it down a little bit deeper. Another way is through art collage. So I mentioned to y'all I had dreamed there was the cognitive behavioral psychologist in my dream, and I ended up doing this collage, which I was grateful that the people I was with had all of these pictures like already collected that I went through. But if you can like look there, I've got kind of like the brain and this thinker, and up here I have a giraffe. And so it was all these images were all sort of holding the energy of mind, like a big mind. And initially, my definition of myself is I'm not a cognitive behavioral therapist. I'm a heart therapist. I'm a spiritual therapist. And so I wanted to reject that. But when I opened up to it, I loved this piece of art so much. Like I rode around in it in my front seat for weeks. And I did this I don't know, 7 years ago or something, and I still pull it out all the time. Oh, here's another beautiful one. So the symbol that I was using was I was in a horse corral, and horses were coming up to me and like nuzzling me. So that was the symbol that I was using, this interaction that took place. And it was all this about being loved and affection, and so there's this place in me that maybe was ripe for affection, or there's parts of me that are being affectionate, expressing love inside of me. That's what that one was all about. Also, you can draw it. If you draw, just draw the symbol. I've had a few powerful symbols that have come forth like that. And if you're particularly an artist, making mandalas with your dream symbols, that's a pretty powerful practice also. But there is this one really quick way that I have learned to get to the energy of a symbol, and I would love to lead you through that. So it works best with something like that's an object, or maybe a place. So not so great with a person. So does everybody have an idea of an object or a place in their dream? All right, so I'm gonna take a breath because I have my energy rocking along here. And I invite everybody else to do the same thing. So just take a breath. All right, and now we just invite that the image that you have, the symbol, this object that was in your dream, invite it into your consciousness. And kind of like just put it on, like become that object. And I'm going to, actually, I forgot to say, if you have a pen and pencil, it'd be good to, or paper, to write this down. If you don't, and you can just keep it in your mind. But so I'm gonna offer these statement starters, and you complete them as this object. So what would this object say? All right, so I'm going to begin. I am. For me, I am a red Mexican scarf. My purpose is. What is the object's purpose from its perspective? And then what I like about myself is, so what does this object like about being itself? What I like about myself is. And then what I dislike about myself is. So for example, my Mexican scarf dislikes being kept in the drawer. And then from the object's perspective, I fear. What does the object fear? And the last one, I most desire. So I'll say those again. I am. My purpose is. What I like about myself is. And what I dislike about myself is. I fear. And I most desire. And then what I invite you to do is now kind of read over those, all of what you wrote or what you have in your mind that were the answers to those statements or the completions of those statements, kind of like with your whole self. So with my Alisa self, I say I am, beautiful. My purpose is to hold space, to decorate, like do it like that, and see like what resonates with you, what's surprising to you. Can you see that is in you? And if anybody wants to share, that'd be super cool.
Anyone? No one has one? I'm happy to share, but I would like to open it up for others.
It might help break the ice a little bit, Ashley.
I can't force them though.
No.
All right. So for mine, it was an airport. This seems to be a recurring theme lately, last few months. And my purpose, what I saw, and it really resonates, is to help others get to their destinations.
Mm-hmm.
And what I like about myself is the openness, the expansion, all the possibilities. I actually really love airports. So I love the shops. I love, you get to see things that I don't go to malls. So it's like kind of a nice, I don't know. What I dislike about myself is sometimes there's too many people. It's too chaotic. It's, I don't know, all that. And then I fear being neglected or overrun. And I most desire being appreciated.
Thank you.
And yeah, and so just to double check, does the airport most desire to be appreciated?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And Ashley does too.
Yes, I know.
Yes, thank you. My symbol was a house.
Hold on one second before you. Maybe this might be the time, Ashley, that we turn off the recording. You think?
Sure.
Through Austin Wellness Collaborative. You're muted.
Tell us your website, of course.
My website is it's i4heart.com. It's EYE 4 heart.com. And yeah, if anybody, when people are out of work and stuff, please, this is my gift. If you have offering to offer, there is a link on my website that allows you to give whatever you want to give. So appreciate that, and mostly just thank you for giving me this space.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was really informative, and I love the exercise at the end. That really, yeah, I'm gonna use that.
So, and I always like to, that exercise was passed along to me by a guy named Bob Haas. So he's a teacher that I learned that from. So
thank you. Thank him.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
And calling forth.
All right, well, I'm going to close us with a short poem. Hafiz, he's one of my favorites.
I have that book.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so it seems really appropriate for DreamWork. How did the rose ever open its heart and give to this world all its beauty? It felt the encouragement of light against its being. Otherwise, we all remain too frightened.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Okay, everybody go be the roses that you are.
Take care, everyone. Bye now.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alisa.
Thank
Bye-bye. Thank you.
I'll send you
Yeah.
the video when it's ready.